Hello, and welcome to another episode of AWS Tech Tales. I'm your host, Matt Burke.
And I am your co-host, Samara Reaño. Welcome back, everyone.
Welcome. So, if you're just tuning in for the first time, welcome to AWS Tech Tales. This is the show where we talk about real life customer issues, what you can do to solve them. If you're watching across any of the streaming platforms, please give us a hello, say hi, especially if this is your first time watching.
Oh, hi. John from Chicago. Hi. Thank you for tuning in today.
Yeah, John, welcome to the stream. Samara, how are you doing this Monday afternoon?
I'm doing well. I actually really liking the weather. It looks like this week is gonna be mostly sunny around here, so I'm planning to pick up, jump back into the running wagon. Now that I have like some nicer weather and don't have to deal too much with the wind over here in California. How about you?
I just did some travel. So I just got back from seeing some family in Texas, which was fun. Oh, hey, everyone. So we've got some hi from I-7, hi from Saudi Arabia,
Arabia, yeah.
and then North Carolina. We've got a very
We
diverse
have a
group on
variation of
today.
time zones. Yes.
So that's awesome. I mean, are you thinking of running like a marathon? Are you
So you know how we always like to work backwards from things. So I've been wanting to jump back into running, and it's been my goal for a very long time now to run a half marathon. I haven't gotten there yet. I haven't fulfilled that. So I decided to sign up for a 4 mile run next weekend, and I was supposed to start training a month ago, and I still have not. So the time is ticking. And so now I'm like, okay, I already signed up. I already paid for it. I already have all my gear. I need to start training.
folks in the chat? So we're gonna get into some technical content really quickly, but if you've got any words of motivation for Zamara, if we
Right.
have any runners out there, that would be appreciated. We got DJ, my man Eric. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah.
Right by HQ2. Zamara, have you been? You haven't been to
I
HQ2 yet,
have
right?
not, but I really, really want to go visit. It looks like a really cool building. So have
It is
you had
pretty
the
cool.
opportunity?
I did, but it was still like kind of under construction, so I was starting to
Okay.
see like how cool it was. Ziggy Starfish saying, "We believe in you,
Oh,
Zamara."
thank you.
Love that.
That's awesome. I'll definitely be thinking of that when I'm running next weekend.
And then we have Disaster P. Welcome to the stream. So I want to just introduce the topic. We didn't have a lot of time to talk about it before we went live,
Oh, look.
Zamara.
I don't
Oh,
want to interrupt you,
forgetting.
but one of
Yeah.
our past season viewers. Hi, how are you? Welcome back.
Welcome
You
back.
found us in a new day, new time. Thank you.
Yeah. So if you had watched us previously, we used to be Thursdays around this time. Now we
Hmm.
are on Mondays, which I think is a little bit easier, especially if you need something in the background while if you're on the East Coast like me. You
Hmm.
might have some things you're trying to finish up before you scoot out of the office or you close down the laptop. And if you're joining us during that time, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Or if you're having a late lunch like Samara.
Yeah, you're listening to us while you're having that delicious food. Welcome all. But so let's talk about today, Matt. What do you have for us? What are we diving into today?
Yeah, I wanted to quickly. We always advertise our show
Oh, that's
page.
true.
People
Yep.
always ask
Mm-hmm.
us, "How do I find you? What's going on?" I haven't updated this from last week, but we did publish the schedule for the rest
Mm-hmm.
of March, which I'm very excited for. Where the next couple of weeks we're going to talk about resiliency. We're going to do some troubleshooting, and then we have our first guest at the end of the month, which I'm super excited for. But we did S3 metadata last week, which was a pretty new feature. We're going to add the show notes link over here for that. And I'm just booping around. And every show notes, as you can see, we have our recordings, we have the links from the episode. So I will be updating that shortly for this one. But today, we're going to be talking about as our header, as our stream descriptions of where we are watching this says the tale of app consistent snapshots. And the reason we did some S3 metadata, we're talking about snapshots, we're trying to do some stuff around storage, sort of
Mm-hmm.
highlight some of the things that maybe have come about since we started Tech Tales now a few years ago already.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Laura.
It's been a while.
And so what I wanted to talk about is app consistent snapshots. I'm going to clear this one really quick. So I want to ask folks the question.
Ooh,
If they
trivia.
like, hey, what is an app consistent snapshot? I didn't necessarily know that term before I started doing some research before this episode, but really I wanted some guesses from the audience, and you can put in 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the chat, depending on the place you're watching from. What service is actually needed to do app consistent snapshotting?
Ooh. All right, let's see. Let's see your knowledge on this one. We got
Data lifecycle
Brigetti said
manager,
3. Okay.
which is a good guess, because data lifecycle manager, you're able to set up some policies around EBS lifecycle management.
Any other
That's a good one.
guesses?
Any other guesses from folks? What's your guess, Samara?
I'm going with number 4, systems manager.
That's a good guess too. And Brooke said 3 as well.
3 as well. So you got 2 for 3.
But I think I'll have to give it to you, Samara. That the answer is actually systems manager here.
Where do I collect my trophy?
At the end of the episode, stick around. So yeah, DJ, my man. A lot of people thought 3, and I put lifecycle manager there to throw folks off. I've actually been. I don't know if anyone's taken an AWS certification recently. I've been studying for one, and I find that I've been getting tripped up against those 2 answers that are very close, or one sounds right. Brigetti's upset with his choice here.
Sometimes it's just a matter of a little word in between 2 choices that you really gotta deep into, and kind of go from there when it comes to the certification questions.
And I guess we can take a step back and talk about first app consistent snapshotting, because I think everyone out there is pretty well familiar with snapshots in general, right? Snapshots are not just a cloud concept. And then most specifically, I don't know why I pronounce it that way, EBS snapshots, right? We kind of have this idea, we take a snapshot, either we schedule one, we take it before we make a change, we keep that snapshot for a bit of time, and then if something bad were to happen, I can restore it from that snapshot. So the question becomes, and if folks have any answers in the chat, feel free to type them in. Why do we need an app consistent snapshot? What does that even mean?
Well, we have something from program automate application consistent snapshot with data.
This is exactly yes.
Yes.
Are they trying to correct me and say, hey, by the way, your answer is wrong?
Give us your intent.
I think that's fair. And my rationale here is that you can use data lifecycle manager for snapshots, any type of snapshots, but you need systems manager for app consistent snapshots specifically.
Okay.
That's my rationale. But I like that programmer XYZ took the time to give their evidence. It's very Amazonian.
He or she did his research on it. So
yeah. So app consistent snapshotting is for things that you need a clean snapshot for. And that can be for things that are processing a ton of transactions, like a database. And Brigetti is actually teeing me up right here. What means app consistent? So let's say you have a database, right? You don't want to take a snapshot of that database while there's pending transactions, while there's things going on. You want to be able to pause all the IO, pause all those transactions, so that if you needed to restore, you weren't in this in between inside outside state.
Right.
And there's
that
a couple
you didn't have
different...
a complete set of information when you still have some processing in flight.
Exactly. And so there's a lot of other areas, and we'll explore them in a bit, of what you can use app consistent snapshotting. But that's where the terminology gets changed from what's app consistent, where where it's app consistent versus crash consistent. So if you just go to the console and you want to take a snapshot of your instance, you're going to do a crash consistent snapshot. You're not going to do an app consistent snapshot. So in case it crashed. And that's normally what we've been doing for a super long time. So if I wanted to just come here and create a snapshot or a lifecycle policy, that would be what I'm doing.
Okay.
But if we wanted to start to build something that was application consistent, we would have to start to go into Systems Manager, which is why I use it as the answer, guys. So I'll start going there, and then Samara, you feel free to talk
and
over me.
as we always say, for any point in time during this stream that you all have a question, drop it in the chat. I'll bring it forward to Matt while he's going through the demo, and then we can go from there. Definitely looking forward to this information. As you said, we kind of have like the generalized term of just getting like the crash EBS snapshots. So it's definitely something new that I will also be learning alongside you all today. So excited for the demo.
And also to take a step back too, like again, the problem here is that we always had a way to snapshot, but how can we do it in a application consistent way? And how do we like do that in a way that takes knowledge of what your app is? And I will deliver some slightly bad news. The bad news is that this isn't something that I can go to the Systems Manager and pull up the document myself and just pull it out. Like, for example, we have an automation that's pre-built you can use for this attached to EBS volume, right? But, and I can't view it because I don't have the right permissions, but you get my drift. But for this specifically, I would need to actually create a document. So I'll show you.
So it's pretty much like a customized action that you're going to have to do rather than just go to a previous template.
Yeah, and it is like we provide these for you. It's not like you have to go searching in the dark, but you do have to pull this in yourself. Okay. So I'm going to go back to Commander session.
Okay.
And I'm going to call this. We're doing a demo specifically today, MySQL.
Okay.
And it's going to be a command. And I'm going to paste through
JSON.
This document. So I'll walk through, and if folks on the chat have questions, let us know. So what this is going to do is basically execute a bunch of commands. And what we're trying to do is quiesce the database, freeze it. So we're going to flush and lock the table.
Okay.
But you can also see that we're saying we're not going to freeze the root or the boots. That would be bad. And do a bunch of checks. And when it's done, we're going to run through and do the unlock of the tables. So basically, we're executing anything that should finish. We're freezing the tables. We're taking the snapshot, and then we're unfreezing it.
So to understand this correctly, those operations or things that are in flight will close out, and then the snapshot will be taken? Or is it that they freeze and they don't finalize, and then you take the snapshot? Because that's what I think I'm a bit confused there with the language.
So it will, let's go through and verify. So it's going to lock the table and basically make sure that like the file system is completely frozen. So that way there's not any like pending transactions.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
So I'm going to create this document.
We have a question from Darth Bikes. It says, is Systems Manager available now? Sorry if I missed.
Oh, yeah, it's available. I mean, that's an interesting question, Darth Bikes. What do you mean by that? So Systems Manager, as you can see, we have a ton of different options within it. I'm not the great. I don't use it as frequently as someone that's in the sysops role might, but this is one option of it, is to create these documents that are automations. So you can see like there's all these different ones that are kind of already built, like configure S3 bucket versioning, DynamoDB backups. We have a lot of these automations that are pre-built for you to use in here. Not the one that I just created.
Yeah, I was just going to say, maybe you're talking about the document is specific, or is there something more specific within the systems manager that you are asking about?
It's so yeah. You let us know, Darth Vikes.
Okay, so we are within the create the document. We have gone through going to the systems manager, creating the document and looking over of specifically what it does within the document itself. Then what would be the next step there, Matt?
So we're going to create a data lifecycle manager. Paul, don't hurt me. I know folks voted for that one. But I do need to create an SSM document first, and it won't work without that. So we're going to create a new custom policy for EBS snapshots.
Okay.
And I'm going to specifically target an instance. So I've got a couple instances here.
Okay.
For this particular workshop. And I am going to key out the name. And we're going to use the DLM, this guy. So
okay,
we're going to use this guy right here. And I'm going to call it so this is a MySQL database, by the way, what we're using to demo this today. I'm going to use the default role.
Okay. No tags, or are you adding tags?
I don't need to tag for this one, I don't think. And I'm going to, let's see, exclude root volumes. This will be enabled. Oh, I didn't like it. Hold on. Always click the add button, guys. This is why sometimes ClickOps goes wrong. And then a schedule. So I do need your help, Samara.
Okay.
What time is it in UTC?
Oh, okay. All right.
Let's see. Does anyone know in the chat?
Okay.
Oh, I was hearing some new capabilities from last reInvent, but haven't had time to dig. So this isn't technically so new. This has been around as something that we reference actually in Programmer XYZ link to for, I would say, a couple years now, maybe a little bit less.
I see 2219.
20. Yeah, okay. So let's do 22. 22. I think that gives us enough time. So I'm just doing a schedule daily, every hour, starting now, and we're going to keep one snapshot at a time. So we'll always have a snapshot. But this is the secret. Actually, we'll come back to it. This is the secret sauce right here, which is enable pre and post scripts. And so this is where we built that document.
Okay.
So this is how we tie all this together, where we have the document that we already built. And again, we want to default to a crash consistent snapshot if for some reason this fails. I also want to do fast snapshot restore. This is extra money, as we say here, but otherwise we might not have time to cook. So we want a little bit of
a disclaimer on the pricing difference there if you were to try it on your end. So good call out.
So that is, let's see, I think we have enough time. So that will be the policy that I'm going to create. The reason I'm clicking very fast, usually I would click a little bit slower, is I want to make sure that the policy gets created before why is it saying I don't have
enable? What is it?
That I don't have permissions. Hold on. Well, let's ask Q. I don't have permissions to ask Q. Okay, fine. Let's see where we are going wrong here. Give me one sec. MySQL. That looks. Oh, I know why. Hold on, folks. Sometimes we make these permissions so granular that when you create the name, I capitalize one thing I'm not supposed to.
Or okay, yeah. It's a letter.
So I got to go back and modify this so that I can get the right time in. I think we can get this in by 24.
Yeah, because we're already by 22. It's 21:54 already. So
Documents.
okay, documents.
MySQL. Oh wait, owned by me. That's easy.
Yeah, you have them too, right there.
I didn't want to do that. I want to. All right, hold on. I don't think I can edit the name. So let me fix it. I'm going to recreate this.
We have a question here while you do that from Darth Bikes. Can these work with RDS databases?
So RDS databases have their own management. So this is specifically for doing it with EC2. So like RDS will help take a backup for you as part of that managed experience. That's a good question. Hold on, let me go back and recreate this now.
And out of curiosity for our viewers, have any of you actually have gone through this process and tried to do this before? Or is this the first time that you kind of like hear about this specific use case or variation of how you can take an EBS snapshot?
So now I'm just going back.
Yeah, just doing all over the steps that we first went through.
And this should work now.
Okay, did you make sure that you grabbed the right one this
I
time?
did.
Okay.
I have this one. So now let's review. Let's create.
Oh.
Should have permissions. Hold on. Oh, because it didn't create the role properly. Let's try the. Hold on. Previous.
Default role.
Oh, I see. Because I already created it with the default role. Hold on. Let's give it a different role for now. Hold on. Or actually, let's see. If I should be able to use it. If not, hold on, I need a little more time.
Yes, you need more time.
Oh, it doesn't like me. Okay, hold on. Technical This is always the fun with the technical
This is
difficulty.
always the fun part.
I know what a snapshot is, but never tried to create one. This is something. All right, Samara, tell them how to create one while we're.
Well, oh, sorry, I try to take away the comment. Like Matt was saying, like the default one is what we call the crash consistent backup of Amazon EBS snapshot, and those are for those EBS volumes that are attached to an Amazon EC2 instance. But what essentially Matt is walking through right now, it's what is application consistent, or short for app consistent snapshot. And it's pretty much is if you have an EC2 instance running self-managed, and like Matt said today, we're talking about specifically for my SQL, you may want to consider creating an application consistent EBS snapshot to back up those databases. And so how it contrasts from the crash consistent one is that pretty much if some transactions are still in flight or it's not completely finalized, what you can do is pretty much pause them or freeze them in order for you to take those snapshots. With the crash consistent one, what you would do is that you would take that snapshot and it's essentially like not really capturing the whole process of whatever is in flight at the moment. It's just taking it as is if you're trying to have it for like a recovery purpose. So essentially today, we're walking through the application consistent snapshot, which would not give you kind of that break of like having some what is it called, like in-flying transactions taking place, but it will be able to provide you with like, kind of like a stand-alone, I guess, copy when you take that EBS snapshot. And I hope I did a good job summarizing that, Matt.
I think you did a great job.
Okay, great.
I realized what I missed a tag to give it the permissions.
Oh,
So
okay.
that was all I needed to do. So give me one sec.
All right. Would you be able to kind of walk us through exactly that? So then like that maybe if someone else runs into something like this, whether
I don't. Borghetti really like that. This is a very specific to the permissions
okay,
I have on the lab,
got
so
you.
I don't think folks, because we always try to do things least permissions here at AWS. So when we're building these out so that you can test them in your own environment,
Sure. Yep.
we want to make sure that.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was just kind of part of the process, is something that we just kind of. Okay.
No, that we missed. No.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
Because sometimes
okay.
it's just a letter or a thing or this or something that we didn't check off, and it just kind of throws off the whole thing.
And that is the troubleshooting in a nutshell. There's always just something that you're like,
that you're
okay,
staring over and over, and you're like, no, that's done, and it's like, no, this one little thing.
So I'm going back. We're creating the lifecycle policy specifically for this instance, which is named DLM EBS Workshop. That's our MySQL instance. This role should now work properly. And we're going to call the role MySQL pre-post snapshots. So this is, again, going to run some pre and post roles, which is the document that we created earlier. And so now we need... 22, I'll say 2230.
Yeah, because right now it's 2228.
I think that will give us enough time. We want to keep one snapshot, moving a little fast so we can get this thing in there. These are the pre and post scripts. We're going to pick the MySQL one. We want to keep a snapshot in case, and we're going to do that fast snapshot restore for one in US. Where's my...
oh yeah, make sure that you get the...
It is in 2A. Great.
Okay.
And this should work now.
Well, you don't have anything getting called out, so I think it's working.
Great.
There you
so
go.
Now we have the lifecycle policy, and not a moment to spare, because it should, in the next 20 seconds, start to give us a snapshot. So the question becomes now, what happens? What's going on? Like, what do we do now? So we can actually check out this policy.
Okay.
And it should start kicking in soon, which is exciting.
So when it automatically starts kicking in, where can you see it? Is it within this exact same area, or do you have to go through another like part of the... Does it auto-populating here, or how do you have visibility into it?
Oh, to see where the snapshot actually shows up. So it will show up in our snapshots.
Oh, okay.
But right now we only have the initial ones that we did
okay.
before we started taping. So what I want to talk about now is we're kind of in a waiting game. We're waiting for these snapshots to be done. So I wanted to let's see. How do we want to do this, guys and gals? We're going to have some new snapshots that get created soon.
Mm-hmm.
If our UTC time is correct. And even if it doesn't get created right away, I have these backups just in case.
Okay.
So while we're waiting, let's take a look at our instance and just take a look at our database that we've got. So let me pull up. So we've got our terminal here. And
I'm gonna say still empty. Yes, we're waiting for it to populate there.
I'm just gonna get. Oh, I just missed the.
We have a comment here about Darth Bikes. It says, "I think you unchecked keep the app consistent snapshot."
Oh, what do they mean by that?
Maybe when you were going through the life cycle, uncheck the box by accident or something. Maybe we can look into the details.
I like when folks point out something like this. Okay, let's see. Let's go back to the policy. Let's go back to Lifecycle Manager, policy. And maximum of 1 will be retained. Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so it is good. Okay.
Yeah.
Verified.
We're still waiting for that to kick in, but while I do, let's go look at this database. So
we have another questions from Brookie Brook 18. Are there any good dashboard views for snapshots, especially across multiple accounts?
That's a great. So you can. It depends on how you want to look at it. There is like we can talk about like a resource explorer. So if you wanted to look at resources across all your environments, across your organization, we could do it that way. A lot of times when we talk about snapshot dashboarding, it can be from a cost perspective. It could be maybe from a trusted advisor perspective of like, what are the specific snapshots that are costing you the most money, that sort of thing. Or the volumes that are costing you the most money. But yeah, that would be my initial answer to that. Hold on. So I want to show you guys okay. So let's look at the table. So I just have a very simple MySQL table.
Okay.
Yep. Where did I? Oh, I missed a space. This has been the syntax error day. So these are the tables in my test system. And then if we wanted to just look at one of the random ones, so just select star. But I'm just going to limit this to 5 outputs. Oh, come on. Where did I? Oh, with an E. I'm trying to keep everyone on their toes.
You have me reading everywhere.
So this is just the output of the table. Okay. And so we can take a note of this to make sure that the snapshot covers the same thing. So let's see. Again, we're always playing the waiting game on whether these things are done or not. So let's see.
Yeah, refresh it.
What time is, so let's see. If it's UTC, I'm now. Yeah, 22:30.
22:35 right now.
Yeah. So.
And you set it to 30?
Yeah, so it should have kicked off about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. The schedules every.
So since we don't want to wait, I'm
Okay.
going to use
Let's
the
look
old
at what you
cooking.
have.
Yeah, I'm going to use the old cooking show way of doing this, where we'll just use these initial snapshots to bake it. And then by the time we get through it, you'll see the ones that we created get populated here.
Okay. All right. So show us what that looks like then.
So what we want to do is like even understand which one of these, like what's what, right? Where did this come from? So what's the source? It's this volume here. And what you can do is actually see what if I look at the instance, let me pull up in a different tab. So we got our storage, and we can see where these volumes are attached to. So we have the boot volume, we have dev SDB, and then dev SDC. So 115, this one is created from 115. So we can add a tag. Let's do that.
Tags right there.
I'm just going to change this to dev SDB.
Okay.
Let's see. One moment. Just want to make sure I'm getting the right order of operations here. Yeah, okay. And then this other one should be dev SDC. Why are we doing this? We're just making sure we know which one is which.
Okay. I was just about to ask you that. So this is just pretty much to kind of cleanly be able to associate to one instance and the other, correct? Okay.
And so now I'm just going to create a volume from the snapshot. And you can see it defaults to GP3, which is great. We want it to do that. And I want to call it, come down to name. And we'll call it restored. So we want to keep track of what's what.
Okay. Dev SDB. Okay.
Because it is the dev SDB snapshot. So I'm creating that as a volume. And I'll do the same thing for SDC. So now I've got a bunch of volumes here. I've restored dev SDB, and then I have restored dev SDC here. I'm going to rename. So now we can swap these out with the actual volumes that are mounted here. So if we go back to the EC2, we've got these two volumes here, 115 and 56A. And then these are going to be the new volumes that we use. Because again, what the scenario we're trying to do is I need to restore from a backup. Now, it wouldn't be much of a test if I didn't do something to remove the backup, like move the table. So, so first we're going to drop this table.
Okay.
So if I go back and it's gone. I got rid of it, right? So let's say someone, something got corrupted.
You just run this command and then there is nothing else that comes afterwards?
Yeah, I dropped the table completely. So if you look in the list of tables.
No, what I'm saying, like no output of anything of like you're dropping confirmation, nothing. It just happens.
No, it just happens. See how easily it could happen? I mean, this is why we restrict access. But now it's gone. I had SB test 1, it's gone. So what do I do? Well, thankfully we have this snapshot that we're using. So how can we restore it?
Okay.
the first thing we want to do is actually stop. Again, this is gonna, you already lost information, so you probably are okay with stopping MySQL. So that's not a big deal. And then we're going to start to unmount the volumes that we're running the database. So I'm going to unmount the MySQL, and I'm also going to, and this is just a Linux thing because we're using a Linux box. We're going to unmount the volumes. We're going to mark them as inactive and say we're no thank you. And then what we're going to do is detach the volumes. So I can do that from the AWS command line. Now you're seeing it just says volume 1 and volume 2. That's because we created aliases for those volumes. This should just work. Boop, detach. So now we've got clean volumes. They're gone. And we've already restored the volumes. So what we can do is come back here and we're going to restore these. Again, you can do this from command line too. You can attach the volume and we want to attach it to dev SDC because again, this is where it can be confusing. And then I want to attach this one.
And so since we're attaching the restore volume, how long does it take for that? Kind of like a mean time of how long does it usually take to attach a new volume?
It's ready to go. I mean, what we have to do now is then look at the instance and just say, I already got them here. They're already, but I have to actually restore the volumes. I got to make sure that we mount it and then restore. So I want to say yes. So because this is all now database functionality. So I basically I attached them. They're already accessible. I restored it. And then I'm going to start this MySQL. So again, all we really did here, folks, is run a special pre and post script before, like when you're scheduling your snapshots, and then you have a snapshot that's available to you that is clean, that then you can restore the database from, as opposed to a crash consistent snapshot that is going to take the current state of the disk as it is. So this part will take a little bit. Let's see if we got our other snapshots back yet or not.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. Okay. Nice. So it's just taking a much longer time. Or we missed the window.
Or that.
One or the other.
Miscalculated.
And that is where the having the backup always works.
Yes.
So I'll jump back and see.
Okay.
We have some comments. Programmer X says, yeah, I don't have much to talk about for Cloud Institute, but thanks for asking. Our service is back up and running. So let's see what happened. I'm going to run that command, the same command one more time. Which is this.
Okay.
And we have our table back.
Okay, cool.
So that's, in a nutshell, very simple, what we've done. But since we have about 5 minutes, if folks have any other questions about snapshotting in general, maybe you're trying to cost optimize, maybe you're trying to get a better understanding of lifecycle management, tiering, the recycle bin, I'm happy to answer those as well. But it's pretty simple. It's more.
Yes, it is. It's actually it's crazy how we have one surprising. Matt in Italian means crazy work. I guess a fun fact right there.
That's pretty funny. But yeah, that is the simple. So again, in summary, folks, the real secret sauce here is those pre and post scripts in Systems Manager. And what's also interesting is we just did SQL, but there's actually a couple other things that you can leverage from there. Let me pull up the link. So you can create a custom document. You can also create VSS backup. So if you're using the Windows volume shadow copy service and you want a app consistent backup, that will also help you automate it. And so this will give you the full breakdown of what we did today. And you can also check CloudWatch to see if that script failed or not. So you're going to want to associate you can automate this. Again, you can dive deeper in the blog, but for PostgreSQL, MySQL, we've got the documentation for you.
I have a question from Brook 18. If you have multi-AC, do you still need snapshots?
So think about it from the perspective of, let's say your database got corrupted, right? If it is replicating that change across AZs, then you're going to want to have a clean snapshot to restore it to the last known good state. Multi-AZ is giving you that resiliency across availability zones, but if something happens at the app layer, it's not going to help that. So it's a great question. Thanks, Brooke.
Oh, there you go.
So we are going to share. I'm going to put this in our to share with folks. Share this link out with folks. Again, we've got the code right here, but it is your responsibility to make sure the code works. But we've got the sample codes here for you to test this out on your own databases. And this was only, like a couple of years ago, and not even a year and a half ago, not even less. Time is wonky. So this is a relatively new thing. So if you have databases that you're running on EC2 today, if you've got Windows servers that are leveraging VSS, this is the way that you should be snapshotting your instances. And again, one easy way to think about doing this is when you're doing the data lifecycle management, instead of doing what I did here, let me just go to the EC2 console. Instead of doing what I did here, which is specify a specific instance in this policy, you can just do it by a tag. So if you set the tags for the things that are MySQL, that are PostgreSQL, it'll run against all of those. And you'll always have a snapshot ready to go. But keep in mind that you want to only retain it for a certain amount of time, maybe one a day.
I was just gonna say any things to keep in mind as our viewers actually run this on their end. I think that pricing being one of the things, right? The longer you keep it, the more you will incur in costs. But apart from that, any other, I guess, parting words or words of wisdom as they prepare to do this on their end?
Well, so good news is our snapshot is being built. It just took a while. So just to confirm that it is working.
Now? Okay, let me see.
So we're going through.
Okay.
It's creating that snapshot.
It's pending.
For us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's a lot of newer features in EBS that folks may or may not be leveraging today. We have this recycle bin, which I think is super cool. So the recycle bin allows you to create a certain retention rule. So if you think about a recycle bin in your computer, when you delete something, it doesn't just delete automatically.
It goes somewhere, right? It's kind of like on a whole, are you sure? Do you want to restore me or, delete me kind of situation?
So this is, if you do this at your account level or your organization level, I think this is super cool because people make mistakes. So they deleted something, it goes in the recycle bin first. So if they realized a week, 2 weeks, a month, depending on how long you want to retain it, that they really needed it back, it never really went anywhere.
So that was gonna be my next question. Is there kind of like a default time for the recycle bin, or if you can actually like update how long you want to actually maintain it in the recycle bin before you actually lose it?
Yeah, you can keep it for up to a year. I don't know why you would want to keep it
Oh,
for a year,
wow.
but
That's okay. That's a considerate amount of time. So yeah, you
yeah.
have plenty of opportunity to come back and regret that deletion then.
Yeah, yeah, but you do
Okay.
have to turn it on.
Of
So
course,
and
yes.
create those rules. But that's one thing you can do. The other thing that you may not be aware of for some folks is you can actually archive it. So let me pick some that's actually active. So we just use those snapshots. It's not active anymore.
Mhm.
Maybe we don't need it. So you can actually go and archive the snapshot. Now we're giving you this warning because archiving is great for a monthly, quarterly, or yearly snapshot. But if
Mhm.
you're just going to archive everything that you're doing, not going to be price
Mhm.
uh
Friendly.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Because what
Mhm.
we want is, we have snapshots you want to keep for a very long time for compliance reasons.
Right. Mhm.
And this is what that's for. This isn't, hey, I snapshot something yesterday, now then I'll put it in archive because that'll save me money. It's not like
Mm,
that.
it doesn't work that way. Okay.
Uh,
And it's good that it calls that out as well, because it's like we might just kind of assume that because you're archiving something, it's not actually requiring any cost. So it's a good call out.
but what's great about this one is I already restored from it. Maybe I don't want
Hmm.
to delete it.
Hmm.
I can just put it in the archive.
Okay.
And so that's what we're doing here is we're archiving that. So that's, well, we got some more comments. Hold on. Oh, good. We have
Yeah,
our
yeah. We're
folks
just
sharing
sharing
the
the.
the
Mhm.
links.
Yes.
So this is where you should go. And with that being said, I would say, folks, um, I want to give a little bit of not homework, but little bit of advice for folks that are managing these things, even in your own environment or at scale in enterprises. Something new happened at reInvent, which is we have idle recommendations in AWS Compute Optimizer.
Hmm.
And most of the time, what I've been seeing when I'm talking to customers about this is EBS volumes. So we can tell you that your EBS volume is idle and then give you the savings that it would be to delete it. And so if you've got a bunch of EBS in your environment, I would go to check out AWS Compute
EBS
Optimizer
Miser. Hmm.
and take a look at that EBS and see what you could potentially save. So this was something that you could have found if you have a support, uh, if you have business support or enterprise support for like idle, um, unattached EBS volumes. But this is actually even cooler because it's not even that it has to be unattached. It can be just a volume that's never getting any IO. Which why would you need it then?
Yeah, I
So
think
that's
that
my
the
suggestion, my homework for folks. And you can let us know if you found something in your environment next week.
there you go. They're gonna come back and say we found all of these things. Thank you. You save us so much money.
Yeah. So that is our show today. That is
Hmm.
just a very high level. I just wanted to kind of put it out there for folks that this is a problem that the people were having, that you thought maybe that crash consistent snapshot was enough, and there's a little bit further to go for some of these workloads that are on EC2.
That is correct. And like Matt mentioned before, for those of you that is the first time joining us, we're here in the live stream every Monday, 5 p.m. EST, 2 p.m. Pacific time. And then also, if you missed our last episode last week, make sure that you check us out at that community page that was shared previously in the comments. And then you can also look forward into the upcoming episodes and the different content that we're going to be featuring during this year. So thank you all for joining today. It was a lot of fun. And thank you, Matt, for giving us all that demo. You kind of had to jump through some hoops to get through those permissions, but, glad that it got solved.
So, folks, next week we're going to be doing a deep dive in resiliency planning. We're going to look at some architectures together and decide, well, what can we do to make this more resilient? That is a question that we get constantly at
Oh, yeah.
AWS, and we're going to go so deep that we're going to spend 2 whole episodes on it, but you won't have had to watch the first episode to check out the second. Promising
Oh,
you
I
that right
love a
now.
standalone episode.
Yeah, but if you're interested in how to make resilient architectures, we actually had Brooke talking about what do I need this if I've got
With that
multi-AZ.
multi-Z, yep.
So we're going to be talking about that next week. So come back, stick around, subscribe to the channel, wherever you're watching the stream, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all. Bye.